Welcome to Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior. I am Pei-I. I'm a parenting and teen challenging behavior specialist at Rainbow Parenting Practice. Over the last 30 years, I've worked with children, teenagers, and then families with various complex needs across different settings. But it is my personal story, being a troubled teenager, that led me to the creation of my innovative parenting method, Thriving Together Parenting Method. It can help you and your team to have a more loving, respect-driven relationship and the happiness and harmony in your family home in 90 days. No matter what challenging behavior it is, how challenging it has been, and for however long your family has been in a difficult place. Many families came to me when they were in crisis or at breaking point. My TTP method is the secret to their transformative family lives. It can be yours too. I am thrilled for you to be here, and that possibly means you are a successful but stressed out parent who is managing a very demanding job but struggling to know what to do and how to help your troubled teen who is stuck in patterns of challenging behavior. You're fed up with trying everything but nothing works. You're looking for solutions yesterday and are determined to do whatever it takes to help your teen and family thrive. At Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior, I will share all the insights I've learned from working with families and their teenagers over the years. I will not hold back. Let's dive in. Hi, Belle.
Hi.
Are we ready for this?
Yep.
You keep asking the same question every single episode. I don't know why, Belle. I don't know why. Right, let me do the introduction again. So I am Pei-I. I have a teenage co-host, Belle, and each week we release an episode about a topic relating to teenage lives, but it also included parenting, family relationship, everything, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And what Belle and I do, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, what we do is we have a set of cards, and if you're watching YouTube, you'll see the set of cards now. It's topics about affecting teenage lives. And so what we do is we'll draw cards in each episode, and which means Belle and I never know what we're going to speak about. And
yeah, which is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, because sometimes we're like, how are we going to take this?
Yeah.
But I think that's what's the beauty of it, because it's not scripted. So whatever in our mind that is being said must carry some importance and meaning to us.
Yeah.
And my hope is that the audience out who is listening in will resonate with what we speak about, or they can be curious about what we speak about. So, you never know.
Yeah.
Our podcast may reach millions one day, Belle. Then we'll do a subtitle. Yeah, we'll do a translation like Chinese ones. Speak Mandarin, you see.
That would be good.
We should not forget about the Mandarin speaking population. Right, Belle, it's your turn, right? Tell me to stop. So I'll usually shuffle and Belle will tell me stop.
Stop.
Okay. Right. So this one, this is an interesting one. It's called controlled.
A what? Controlled?
Yeah, controlled. So it's a girl with a, what do you call the thing?
Like, I don't know. Do
you know, like when you're winding the clock thing?
Like a wind up, like,
yeah,
it's like for puppets or whatever.
Yeah, so then so the picture is saying there's a wee girl with a wind up key at the back, and then with a lot of machineries in the back, the bolt in the back. So I am thinking maybe this is about teenagers feeling controlled.
Yeah. That quite severely controlled, it seems. But
if you want to take it another side, it could also be about, like, grooming.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways you could take it, isn't there?
Yeah.
We can touch on a few again, like we did last time.
Okay, so what's in your mind first? What's in your mind?
What's like on my mind first is parents being controlling. And I know that's the most obvious.
That was in my mind too, actually.
Yeah. I know that's the most obvious one, but I think it's like so common. Like, And it's not even just like there's obviously parents being controlling of their children's like lives, schoolwork, all these sorts of things. But there can also be a controlling aspect to people being overly not overly caring, but very involved and bearing. Like that can also probably feel quite controlling and suffocating as well. So
So
it's probably hard to get a balance right.
What are the things that parents are trying to control, you think, from a teenager perspective, from your lived experience?
So this is from my friends' experiences that I'm thinking of, but I would say probably trying to control their teenagers like direction, and their like if it's they're controlling jobs, subjects, school, all these sorts of things. They're obviously no parents like trying to do it out of hate, like they're obviously trying to give something to their child, but like I think it can go the other direction if you push. I'm not articulating myself very well to say, but
So are we saying like because the parents have a blueprint or a map where they want their children to
yeah,
be?
I think that happens a lot where parents just want their child to be the most successful, end up really well, like maybe do a similar thing to they did because it works so well for them, like doing it out of probably a good place. But I know that it can make someone feel so like exhausted. But then there's also the overbearing, controlling side, which I think can make teenagers feel a bit like overly protected or sheltered, or like even if they don't realize it and they like it, like when they're older and they leave home, like that's going to be a big shock to them as well. So I don't know. What are your opinions like through your work? What do you see in terms of control with teenagers? A lot.
Well, I work with teenagers who are struggling and who tell their parents I'm struggling through their behavior, whether it's drug taking or drinking alcohol, running away, being aggressive, or being antisocial or offending. And so I think the one thing that the parents want to control is their behavior. Also, the other side is, like you say, the intent of that, whilst they want to control their behavior, they want to control their safety. They want to make sure they are safe, right? But like you said, sometimes it can be the miscommunication and how you say things, how you do things might be experienced differently by the teenager. So like you say early on is, the parents have a blueprint and a map as to where they want their teenagers to be and what the kind of person they are or what kind of career they will have in the future. And then the teenagers' experience of that can be very different. It's like, why can't I have my own autonomy and independence and to decide what career I will have in the future? So that how that is experienced can be very different. But definitely from the families I've worked with, is definitely being able to wanting to control that out of control behavior. But it's coming from a really good place. They're just worried, they're panicked.
Yeah, and it's so hard to know how to approach that because like I know from my own experience, like the last thing you want is your parents being like telling you not to do whatever you're doing. Well, not the last worst thing, but that's a common thing. So like how would you say is the best way to approach that for the benefit of both, from both sides,
the parents and
teenager
teenagers.
and parent? Yeah.
Well, I think it's important for parents to remember, like, the teenagers are a growing adult, a growing person, right? I keep saying this again and again and again and again in each episode, is they are a growing person, and this is about life. So involving them about decisions that will affect their life is so important. They need to be part of this journey. It's like you're in a, what you say, if you're in a rowing, canoeing, sport, It's a
Yeah.
teamwork. If someone is rowing, someone is not, and then it's making it really difficult. And the most challenging could happen is the canoe might flip over. If you're not working together as a team and communicate, actually, I'm going to do it this way, you do it that way, count on three. So that is really important for the parents to remember that. However, it's really difficult to let go because parents have comes with so many years of lived experiences, so many skills, so many knowledge, and so many things they have. They want the best for their children, and they know if you do this, it's more likely to lead to ABC. Right? But
And they're
teenagers,
probably like right, but it's not, might not be what they want to do. So that's
exactly, they know that could be potentially be the outcome. But the problem with teenagers, because their brain is still developing, so the consequential thinking is not there yet. They're all thinking is right now what I want, you know what? And if you're so they can't see that part. And I think that's where the frustration the parents are coming is like, I know that's gonna happen. If he doesn't pass his GCSE, yeah, and then what's gonna happen? If he doesn't pursue his education, his chance of a good career is limited.
yeah.
So there's a lot of like consequential, and then the parents have a really good intent. However, it really comes down to how that is communicated. How is that communicated? Because as a parent, your lived experience doesn't mean that is your child, your teenagers, and the teenagers need that. They need the support, they need the guidance, but they also need autonomy to explore, this part of a journey.
Like you can't. They need parented, and you need to have some sort of, it's okay to be told no or told whatever. Like that's a good thing. But in like balance, like because I've seen a lot of people who are just sheltered so much and like don't get told things, just get told no, no, never given a reason why. Like it just does the opposite. Like it just makes them want to do it more. I've never in my life seen someone, like even people that I've seen who've grown up who are older than me, and like my sister knows, like I've never seen anyone that's been so heavily sheltered and just told no and not told about things, and as a way of parenting. I've never seen them end up the exact opposite way when they're older, like ever. So it obviously says a lot.
Yeah, because you do need the opportunity to experience life yourself. And
Yeah.
like what we're talking about in our last episode, your lived experience of having a romantic relationship as a teen may not be the same as other teens' relationship.
Yeah,
If
like
you
they're
were
all so different. Everyone's lives are so different.
exactly, if you were a teen, grew up in a family, there was domestic violence or there was drug use, there was difficulties at the family home, how they were in relationship will be very, very different. So
Yeah.
but it is hard, thinking about the feeling controlled is hard. But it's equally for the teenagers. I know we know you want autonomy, we know you want independence, but at the same time, it's remember you're not all invincible.
Yeah.
Because my experience working with teenagers, they'll be like, oh, we'll be fine, it's okay,
Yeah, that's what I used to think, like up until about this year. That was all I thought. I just didn't even consider consequences. Like,
yeah, you just think you're invincible, everything's going to be fine, it will be we'll be cool, you worry too much and all this thing. But seriously, the society is changing and there's a lot of risks outside
yeah,
in the society. So, and how many news you saw on telly were actually good,
yeah,
so then I think it's important for the teenagers to bear in mind is that you are not invincible. Actually, if anything, you're actually quite vulnerable being a teenager.
definitely.
So you need to be using this.
And that's why you do need, like, that's why it's good for parents to like give guidance and like just because I know, but also I know that a lot of teenagers can struggle with parents who are completely doing it out of the absolute best interest, and they're amazing parents, but they're being very overbearing and very controlling and all this. I think teenagers can feel quite guilty. Like if they have an issue with it, like, they might just think, oh, they're just doing the best for me, like it's fine, like whatever. But I think there's a lot of like guilt and hiding things from them, I think, that could come from that as well.
Oh, tell me more about this. Let me get this right. So you're saying
Mm.
when the parents are being over controlling over their
Yeah.
teenagers, and when the teenagers don't do what their parents want them to do, they carry some guilt, and then they don't want to tell the parents, like, actually,
100%.
don't agree,
Like,
don't agree with you, and I didn't do anything you tell me.
yeah, I mean, all my friends, I
Mm-mm.
hope none of them obviously ever listen, but all my friends of strict parents
Mm-hmm.
are the friends that have to lie to
Mm-hmm.
their parents all the time. And they don't like doing it. Like they don't want to, but they actually have to so that, you know, they can have a fun time with their friends, or like not lying about going out or anything like extreme, but like, you know, even sometimes, oh, you need to go home and do your work or something, or like just a lot of things. Like I think, and I know that some of them, I've talked to them, a lot of them, about like their experience with that, and like sometimes they say like, I don't even need to, I don't even need to anymore, but I just find it easier to do that so I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
explain myself. Or do you know what I mean? Like I think it's such a important thing to be able to be honest with your
Yeah.
with your
So what? So
parents.
what? So what will happen if your friends tell their parents what really happens and what they were really thinking?
Well, they might just like they might just have a big argument, or their
Mm-mm.
parents might, you know, be disappointed in them, or might not let them go out for like 2 weeks, or these sorts of things. Like just like not punish them, well punish them, but like also like it's just a whole situation for them, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And that's the biggest thing. Like it creates a situation within the family or within their own experiences. And I think a lot of people who have siblings
Mm-mm.
who, you know, obviously every older sibling says, and is probably right, but parents are obviously stricter of the first sibling, and it goes
Mm-mm.
down. So they might feel like annoyed at the that, you know, they might, my friends have had it where their siblings have been annoyed at them because they're like, well, when I was your age, I just dealt with this, and you know, you sometimes you have to just like do it, and like they do, but they have to understand. Once again, like everyone has their own lives, everyone's just
Mm-mm.
experiencing that, so it's a
Mm-mm.
shame.
So I got like I had to go through this, and you got off with that.
Yeah, exactly. And like obviously that obviously is going to cause conflict. This is what I'm saying. Like being over controlling can lead to having to be so dishonest with your parents,
Mm-mm.
because in fear of guilt and a whole situation occurring when that doesn't happen. And I know that even parents probably like, some parents might not even intend for that to happen, and they
Mm-mm.
might not even see it like that. It might just be even like a discussion or whatever. But I
Mm-mm.
think it just like puts a bit of like a weight on their chest. Like it just makes you quite
Mm-mm.
stressed and
Mm-mm.
guilty, probably.
Yeah, and it could be just that they just like, you know what, make sure your homework is done. You have an exam next week, so you're not gonna go out this weekend with your
Yeah, and
friends.
sometimes it is fine. Sometimes it's like reasonable, and sometimes you need that. Like it really depends,
Mm-mm.
obviously.
So on this note, are we saying teenagers would appreciate explanation from the parents?
Appreciate what?
Explanations from the parents when they say no or when they've been asked to do something.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, like I don't see any point in just saying no
Mm-mm.
over like everything and never giving any education or explanation as to why, because what is that going to do except create like
Mm-mm.
guilt or fear
Mm-mm.
if that thing happens or whatever. Like it's
Mm-mm.
not going to ever be able to, because the parents are doing that to
Mm-mm.
like try and mold their child's like morals and
Mm-mm.
what choices they make in life, and like out of best interest. But it's not going to do any of that if you're not giving a reason why, because they're not having anything to make a decision in their head about. They're just being told no, and then like, okay, well,
Mm-mm.
that's a no, never mind. Like that just goes out of their mind. Do
Yeah, and
you know what I'm
usually,
saying?
yeah, and usually from my experience working with teenagers, usually if you say one no, then it's very easy. You just don't share anymore.
Yeah.
with your
Yeah,
parents about what you want
exactly.
to do. There's no point because I
Because
know you're going to say
as
no.
you said, like teenagers, being a teenager, like you are a lot more vulnerable. So
Mm.
yeah.
But then I have a question, or do you think it's possible for parents and teenagers to be completely open and honest?
Um, it's definitely possible, but I don't know. That also has a level of like, that's also boundaries. Like, I would never, like, I'm really close to my mom, I'm close to my dad, but I would never want to be so heavily involved in each other's lives all the time. Like, you know everything about my life, and I know everything about their life. And like,
Mm.
I wouldn't want that. Like, I have my friends for that level.
Mm-mm.
But parents is a different sort of relationship. It's like they don't have to know everything about everything. Like, there should just be that basic level of like that strong level of like trust and
Mm-hmm.
honesty, and that's all that matters. Like, I
Mm-mm.
think.
Mm-mm.
And then having that honest relationship just comes with that. Like, if a teenager like has something they think, oh, I'm gonna tell my mom about that, they feel like they can. Or
Mm-hmm.
if they've done something their parents might not agree with, they feel they can actually talk, like say something, and they're not
Mm-mm.
just gonna get shouted at and told no. Like, they'll get given the resources to like not make that decision again or whatever.
Again, I definitely agree that there needs to be some appropriate boundaries. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be knowing or sharing your couple's things into the children, or
Yeah,
your
yeah,
past experience that is not necessary for your
yeah.
children to know. But at the same time, is that, like you said, the level of trust and honesty, what is the right balance though?
Yeah.
I work with the most vulnerable children and families, and a lot of them experience trauma, and
Mm-hmm.
trust is really, really important in any of their relationship. But the challenges are there is, I hear a lot of parents say, I trust my teenagers. And
Mm-hmm.
that is really noble and inspiring to hear that. But my first initial will always be, yes, but it's the world around in your teenager that can be distrustful,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, it's one teenager with all the possible risk and challenges around the teenager's world,
Mm-hmm.
it's making it really difficult for just simply say, I trust my teenagers will make the right decision, will come and tell me when they need help. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the external forces, the friendship, there's community, there's things that, teenagers never probably
Yeah.
ever speak to their parents about. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really, really important about finding that balance. For parents is, yes, you trust your teenager. However, what to the next step is, what else can you teach your children, teach your teenager about the risk around them and how they
Yeah.
can have people to speak to, or the parents to speak to, and to navigate that. Because
Yeah.
otherwise it's when the teenagers can easily be exploited or groomed, and it
Mm-hmm.
happens very often online.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
the highest risk place ever. It's like, hey, you know you da 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 da, and I did it, and then the next thing
Mm-hmm.
is like
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to this guy you
And
never
that's
met.
another thing, like people with very strict parents,
Mm-hmm.
if someone does do that and they do like suddenly give this like teenager, they're like older and they suddenly give this teenager space to say, to be like, to not lie and like tell them all the things they've been doing and all these sorts of things like that, it would probably like, they'd probably open up to that because they've not had that from their parents. They've only ever been told no, so they don't know why, and like it
Mm-hmm.
just creates a whole like
Yeah. So
issue.
yeah, so what you're saying is the importance of parents to teach the teenagers skills, and in terms of like problem solving skills,
Yeah.
consequential thinking skills, if this
Yeah,
happens.
I just think it's as simple as like, if you're gonna say like no or not let your like child do
Mm-hmm.
something, explain why, rather than,
Mm-hmm.
because I think from what I've seen, like the most frustrating thing is when, we've had plans like for them, like if they've made plans
Mm-hmm.
and then right before they've just been told no and they don't know why, and they say why, like how come, they're just like, no, I want you to be in the house tonight, and it's like, it's so frustrating. It's like I get frustrated secondhand. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I couldn't ever do that. Like, I think it's so. I think it's a basic level of respect to just at least explain why.
Yeah. But equally, the teenagers can ask more questions. Can you tell me why you're saying no? I need to know to understand so I can be compliant. I can accept the boundaries you're putting right now. The teenagers are encouraged to ask questions. But I do get what you mean, though. It's finding, I suppose what we've been speaking about is finding that balance, isn't it?
As with control, that's all it's about, because there's so many like opposite extremes, and like the extremes never good with control. Like, it's best to just find like a good balance.
Yeah, the balance of, and then same
whatever that is for whoever.
Exactly, like saying control is, it's got a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, no matter what it is, it's like it's kind of just got a negative connotation, like no matter what way it goes.
Yeah, it's like somebody's controlling you. I don't want to be controlled.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to be controlled.
No.
No, we do. But then, there's another whole thing we can talk about control. And in terms of relationship and all these things, some people in a controlling relationship. But we'll come back to this later.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this some other time. But I suppose what we've been speaking about is finding that balance of, as parents to guide and support the teenagers to navigate, the teenage years, and not necessarily the controlling part, but just how you can support and guide them in ways that is empowering for them, in ways that is supportive for them, in ways that can help them understand why you're asking them to do certain things. Why do you say no to certain things? But for the teenagers, we're saying you are independent, you're growing independent, you are entitled to your autonomy, but at the same time, bear in mind that you're not all invincible. Is anything, I believe you're most vulnerable at this stage because there's so many things happening for you in your life. Guys, it's more so important you have people you can speak to. You have people, I always think parents are the best people they can speak to. And it's, if not parents, friends, teachers, whoever that you can speak to help you navigate this part of the challenge. So, wow, that's a really quick 30 minutes.
Yeah.
How does time always go so fast? And you never feel enough to talk about, enough time to talk about things. So before we finish, Belle, what will be the curiosities for today and for who?
So my curiosity would be for the parents, and it would just be to like be curious about why you're not letting your teenager do certain things, or why you feel the need to add any sort of control in whatever way. Like, just try and understand that to yourself, so that, and preferably tell your teenager that. But when your teenager asks these questions and wants like to, because you need that to be able to accept it. So yeah, I would say try and understand and be confident in why you're saying no before you just say no, because that's not fair to control your child over something you're not even sure why you're doing it. Like, that's just a shame.
Okay, so, that's a good curiosity. Well, then I suppose my curiosity would be for teenagers. And I suppose maybe the part for me is for teenagers to be curious about when feeling controlled, either by your own parents or by anyone else, is pay attention to what that feeling feels like and look like for you, right? Because when you're feeling controlled, like we say, it's a negative connotation, but it's also not, because you don't want your freedom to be restricted, your own person, autonomy and everything. So I want the teenagers to be curious about the feeling of feeling controlled. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does this controlling, or whoever's controlling thing or person, make you feel and do? And how can you pay attention to that and speak to someone about it? And it doesn't have to be a terrible thing. It could be just like what Belle and I speaking about like, I feel like my parents are not giving autonomy to anything. But then it's about going back, so actually, Mom, when you do these things, it made me feel really controlled about that. I can have my own voice. I can do this. Can we please find a way to look at how we find the balance about this? So then I don't have to lie to you about the things. I don't need to lie to you. I suppose that would be the curiosity. I want the teenagers to be more curious about the feeling feeling controlled, and how they can take that feeling back to their parents and talk about that to find a different way to navigate and be supported in this journey, in this teenage years.
Yeah, that's a good curiosity.
Yeah, so I hope this has been helpful, and as usual, we're coming to the end of our episode. So we'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye. Thank you to everyone at home or on the go for listening. If you find this show helpful, please hit that follow or subscribe button. It does wonders for the show, so more people can find Teen Talk Navigating Teen Challenging Behaviour organically. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about, please drop me a line at pei@teentalkpod.com. That is PEI-I@teentalkpod.com. I read every email I get. Whether that's an episode idea, a guest recommendation, or just a simple note about how the show has impacted you. I'd love to hear from you. I am Pei-I, and I'll see you on the next episode.